everybody. I hope this live stream broadcast finds you well, finds your family healthy. I hope it finds most of your Christmas gifts under the tree, or holiday gifts under whatever tree or Festivus pole you have set up in the living room. I hope that delays from the post office or UPS or DHL or whoever aren't going to ruin anybody's Christmas. I hope all those things. And I hope this next week is a week of relaxation and reflection, even if you are not with your family. Soon enough, we'll be able to hug our families. Yes. And hi, I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to answer some questions today posed by tested patrons. And today's theme, you guys chose an awesome theme, is industrial light and magic. Everybody knows that in 1975, George Lucas embarked on making Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie. And in doing so, reinvented pieces of the film industry from soup to nuts. Everything from the way films are shot, to the way that people act in them, to the way that those films are marketed, and the way the public receives them. Lucas changed everything. What is less clear is that he came up with, I think, not less clear, but less celebrated, is that he came up with, I consider, the greatest company name in the history of company names, in choosing the name Industrial Light and Magic. It is an astounding company name, and I will spend the rest of my life, every time I have to consider the name for an enterprise, that is going to be my godhead. That is the pinnacle, the zenith of company naming. One of my oldest friends, actually, his name is David, and in high school, everyone called him Davy. His high school bedroom was called DLM, Davy's Light and Magic. Aspiring filmmaker imbued Lucas into his high school bedroom. And so I'm answering questions about what it was like to spend a few years walking the halls and making models for Industrial Light and Magic. But first, a little bit of painting, weathering, modifying, augmenting, improving. I have some Beskar steel. Yes, the only thing impervious to, or one of the few things impervious to, a lightsaber. Who knows what else might be impervious to a lightsaber? I have these three beautiful pieces of CNC'd Beskar steel. These are a gift to us from Khal at the Saber Armory. Not the first gift we have received from Khal. Khal and the Saber Armory made this beautiful thermal detonator. Okay. By the way, it was so awesome to see a whole bunch of thermal detonators on The Mandalorian recently. Yeah. So I was going to do a little bit of a paint treatment to these pieces of Beskar steel, to one of these pieces of Beskar steel. I love, by the way, having it be metal, it's special. It's if you've been debating whether or not to get a piece of metallic Beskar steel, I'm here to say yes, you should, because the way these click together, yeah. As a prop replicator, I'm always looking for both fidelity to the original, but also an experience that feels like it has a fidelity to the original, and this definitely satisfies that. So we're going to do a little paint treatment on this. We're going to get our hands dirty, and let's see here. I've got a tray. I have a brush, and I have some oil paint, and I have some turpentine, and I have some other stuff. So what I'm going to do with this, because in the CNCing, if I can bring this up to the camera, and you can see, yeah. So that pattern is actually dimensional. That pattern is, and by dimensional, I mean it's not just printed, it actually has a topography to it. So what I'm going to try and do is hit this with some dark oil wash paint in hopes that the oil settles into the valleys of that topography. And then I'm going to hopefully remove a bunch from the mountains, right? So that you'll end up seeing it. And I'm not going to start with the black oil paint. I'm going to start with this Payne's Gray. Who's paying? I don't know. Is that something I should know? No? What? Oh, okay. Let's see here. I got, just want to get a piece of, by the way, shop paper. You always need pieces of paper in a shop. And after years of having just a bunch of copy paper over in the corner, I went and I bought some heavier weight paper. This is more for like cover stock. And it's so much better. It's so much better to have something that's not just as, not that. So yeah, I know this is not a standard 8.5 by 11. It's actually because I made some Christmas tags this weekend and I chopped this, did some hole punching and gave Mrs. Don't Try This a whole bunch of very specifically sized little tags for some of the granola she's been making and sending to our friends. Oh yeah, if you haven't had Mrs. Don't Try This as granola, it's the shizzle. Okay, so let's set this up. I'm just gonna dollop a little paint down there. I'm gonna get a little bit of turpentine on my brush. Always good to get your brush wet before you touch it to paint. The reason for that is that the liquid that you're getting it wet with gets down into the base of the bristles and keeps paint from getting down to the base of the bristles. That will shorten the life of your brush. So I'm just going to get some of this Payne's gray. And it looks pretty black here on screen. And I'm just going to unceremoniously sort of just douse this piece in the Payne's gray. Yeah. And I'm going to go all over it. It may be that I need even more. Okay. Yeah, I think it might be that I need more. God, I love the smell of this. The smell of it. Yes, I was quoting, that's not our door.
Someone is at the front door.
No, they're not. Hold on. Alexa, you need to be quiet. I've unplugged her. Okay, so I might be using too, well, no. Anyway, I'm jamming the paint down into the valleys. And you might feel a little more timid about this part if you haven't done it before. But the thing that I've learned from experience is that some of the best paint jobs have come from overdoing one paint job and then having to remove it. And then in the removing of it, which is always imperfect, I find the right paint job. This is definitely some of the dirtiest my hands get is handling the oil paints. I don't mind. My hands have been dirty since I was 4 years old. I don't think my fingernails have ever been complete. No, my fingernails have been clean. I have had several manicures in my life. I have apologized to the poor people doing those manicures. I've especially apologized to the poor people doing the pedicures. Yes, I've had the odd pedicure. Okay, so now I'm going to get another piece of paper here. Oh, I am making everything dirty by touching it. Okay, we'll put our Beskar there. That's a good sound. And I am going to dry this a little bit before I start to wipe it. I want a little bit of, yeah. This won't fully dry. This will not fully dry the oil paint, but it'll help. It'll help it settle where I want it to settle. And in doing this, I'm kind of thinning it out. Getting it to really sit down. I didn't do one of these. I did not do one of these before we started this broadcast. So this may work or it may not. let's see, what I want to do is, so when you have hills and valleys like this that are very, very narrow, I mean, it's probably not much more than 5 thou, which is, to be honest, probably about the thickness of this paper is probably about 5 thousandths. Let's see. Pull out my calipers. Oh, this paper is 10 thou. So yeah, the depth of these valleys are probably half the thickness of this piece of paper. So when you use a cloth to go over something like that, you can overdo it. So I'm going to start by actually kind of wrapping it in paper. Oh, look, it's like I'm doing a sort of a woodcut stamp. Yeah, there we go. I've got my Beskar steel stamp. There is the exposure. There we go. This is precisely how printing works. Okay. Let's get a little more dry. Yeah, the blow dryer needs to always be at the workbench. For me, it's just always got to be here. So now, instead of wiping this, I'm actually going to sand it. And I'm going to use this thing. Oh, actually, it's worth showing you this thing. This here is an ancient, it's probably 30 years old for me now, soapstone plate. This is a machinist's layout plate. It is incredibly flat. It's probably slightly more abused than your average one. I use this all the time. But when I want to sand things and make them superiorly flat, I tape sandpaper to this block. And that gives me this really, really, is everything cool or am I offline? Okay. It gives me just a super flat surface. This is, I learned this from Chris at ClickSpring. By the way, how great is it that he's making some more videos? Yeah, that latest one, sorry, check out ClickSpring. Latest video is pretty mind-blowing and pretty incredible. But I learned this from watching him. He's got this piece of plate glass. He puts his pieces, he puts the sandpaper on and then sits there and does this kind of very careful sanding. And I've adopted that, and it reaped so many benefits when I was making the Samaritan parts. It just like, you can actually move stock. You can remove, you think that sanding steel or aluminum at 400 grit can take you a while to move material around, and it's actually way faster than I thought. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece of Beskar steel that I've now washed in an oil-based paint, dried a little bit, and now I'm just going to take it on here and kind of sand off the top. Are you ready? Are you ready? You can't handle the truth. Look at that. I'm going to do a close-up. Yeah, that is really pretty. And especially like once I bring up the, yeah, so the 400 grit lends this kind of glimmering shine to it. That's really beautiful. So I'm just going to do all 6 sides now. Following the figure 8 pattern I see Chris use so many times. All right, now this is where it gets a little tough. It's harder to maintain perfect. On an edge thing like this, I tend to pull the piece towards me because if I try and do this, I'm sort of moving it all over the place, and I want to make sure all my sides are as orthogonal as they can be. Yeah. And I have found that like taping a piece of 400 grit onto my layout plate here, I am able to use it for days before I have to replace it sometimes. All right, let's do the bottom here. Oh yeah, got it. This, what I'm doing right now is maybe the hardest lesson I had to learn in sanding. And I don't think I learned it until I got to ILM. And there's a reason. Before I got to Industrial Light and Magic, I had spent 5 years or so working for Jamie Heineman in commercial special effects, which is very different than film special effects, specifically in terms of scheduling. In a commercial, you usually have like, well, in a film, you have like weeks or sometimes months and teams of people to help you finish stuff. I know not every place is like this, but ILM back in the day was a fat shop with lots of work, lots of people working. And you had lots of help and lots of time to get stuff done. In commercial special effects, you've got like 18 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes. The timelines are ridiculously compressed. And so I never had the opportunity in commercial effects with Jamie to do super high-end, the best possible quality finishing work. But once I got to ILM and I was looking at the work of my colleagues and replicating it and doing my own work, I discovered that we think of sanding as like this. But to be honest, every sanding job ends with this. Just pull it towards you a couple times and inspect. Pull it towards you a couple times and inspect. And I was blown away by what a difference just a couple of passes can make here and there. Ah, this is great. You know, even that, just to get the corner, just to roll it over. I'm not overdoing it. I'm just, as I'm moving it, keeping pressure down. Yeah, and I'm not following a specific plan. I'm making this up as I go along, but, well, you're used to that. Let's get the hero side. And wiping the sandpaper really does help move some material. Let me get some air. Oh! Well. The law of unintended consequences. Here's your close-up. I airbrushed the logo and it sprayed some paint out of the logo, but that's great. We've thinned out that paint. I'm going to get a blow dryer on it. There we go. And then I'm going to hit it on the sandpaper again. And hopefully, yeah. Pass with the flow gun. Better. It's a, what do you call that kind of beat? It's like the beat of almost all the songs in Graceland. It's like the traveling beat. We are almost there. That is absolutely lovely. I'm going to move this off, put this back on my rolling table. And ladies and gentlemen, let's see a before and an after pic. That's before and that's after. And you can see that my paint job hasn't created a massive difference, and yet the difference is massive. Just by adding the darker color. And I think I really succeeded by not using jet black, but the Payne's gray. I think it balances better. Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. Lovely. Well, now I am ready. In case I need a dark saber, I can use some of this Beskar steel, make myself some proper armor.